Hello, you are watching The Political Vigilante, and I am Graham Elwood. Today I want to go over an article, basically an interview in the January 28th Los Angeles Times. It was the reporter was Steve Lopez, and it was with the Los Angeles Police Department Chief Charlie Beck. And basically the crux of the interview and the article that I'm going to read is Chief Beck doesn't want his officers to become immigration cops. He is opposed to Trump's immigration policies and Muslim ban and everything, but this is specific to undocumented immigrants, specifically Latino. LAPD Chief Charlie Beck and I were chatting over breakfast, and I told him the story of a Border Patrol maintenance man who spent decades repairing holes in the border fence at Calexico. Some days Albert Garcia welded and patched 10 or 12 holes, finding saws and ropes and ladders near cuts in the iron fence. The next day he'd go back and find more holes and patch those too. He asked Garcia recently, who is now retired, no matter what kind of fence you put in, Garcia told me, it's not going to hold anyone back. It doesn't matter how high or why you build it. Becks says there's a very simple reason for that. We have a very rich country with a lot of opportunity that is immediately adjacent to a poor country with less opportunity, said Chief Beck. It stands to reason that people will risk everything to head north and escape corruption, poverty, and drug crime. No legal or administrative edict can change this, said Beck. He has publicly refused to comply with Trump's call for police officers to assist federal authorities by detaining undocumented immigrants for deportation. That is not our job, nor will I make it our job, Beck said in November, drawing a line he's still defending. Beck is not alone among law enforcement and city officials who've taken this position. City leaders from San Francisco to Chicago to New York have pledged to fight Trump's immigration policies, even if it means loss of federal funding. Governor Brown of California has said no, and Trump has already said he's going to pull funding to cities that are safe zones, any federal funding. So like every city gets federal money in one way or another. The city of Los Angeles gets it, their ports, the airports obviously, and their seaport, Long Beach, and various other harbors. The federal money, like Department of Homeland Security does the TSA. That's a federal authority that does the security at airports. So the feds pay for that, so Trump could pull that money away and the states would have to come up with that ourselves. Well, starting January 1, 2018, California is going to have legal recreational marijuana. So we'll make plenty of money from that. That'd be so great if weed paid for our security. Is it really all that common for undocumented immigrants to step up as witnesses to a crime? Yes, said Beck, but the issue is bigger than that. A lot of people think, well, he's talking about witnesses to crime, which I am, but I'm also talking about victims of crime. Beck estimates that about 500,000 residents of Los Angeles are undocumented. When you create a shadow population that fears any interaction with law enforcement, Beck said, then you create a whole population of victims because they become prey for human predators who extort them or abuse them because they know they won't contact the police. You know, I never even thought of that. It's not even about just they won't come forward as witnesses, but then you've got this whole segment of the population, they're afraid to come forward. They're not going to go to the police and say, hey, somebody robbed me or abused me or raped me. So you can just do whatever you want with them. Beck, a career cop who is now 63, said he didn't see it this way when he joined the force, but has evolved as he better understood practical realities and the essence of Los Angeles, which implemented Special Order 40 in 1979 to prevent police from doing the federal work of immigration control. In the mid-90s, when the state cracked down on illegal immigration, all we did was drive people underground. He had another awakening as chief in 2009. He tells this story about his daughter coming home when she was a young police officer, and he asked her how it went, and she starts tearing up. And Chief Beck's daughter is a cop. Said, what's the matter? And his daughter told him about impounding a car in the middle of the night, leaving a pregnant woman and her family to walk through the darkened streets of the Rampart Division. The Rampart Division is a very tough Not a nice part of Los Angeles. So that helped me realize what we were doing is wrong, said Beck. We have a system set up here that is penalizing people we should be protecting, and that's when we started to change the impound procedures. Beck took a storm of criticism in 2012 on two related issues. He supported provisional driver's license for undocumented immigrants, saying roads would be safer if drivers were regulated. I talked about that. I said that on this very show when I was on my regular immigration one. Because you have all these undocumented driving. They're not licensed. They can't get insurance because you need a license to get insurance in the state of California and most other states, I would imagine. So if you allow people to be documented, first now, if someone's undocumented and they can't get a driver's license and they do commit a crime, how do you know who they are? They could just make up a name, show some photo ID thing that's what? They bought at a swap meet that's not, there's no way to track the person. If you let someone, you're also getting all of those fees. 500,000 undocumented, he estimated in LA. What if just Los Angeles? What if 500,000 people went and paid the whatever it is, $50, $100 to get a driver's license? That's a lot of money for the state. And now we know who everyone is. And he also took heat when he implemented a decree that prohibited 30-day impounds of vehicles in some cases, arguing that undocumented immigrants unable to get driver's license were unfairly burdened. Critics howled, and Beck's own rank-and-file sued. Today, Beck said his force is about 47% Latino, and many officers that have what he called blended families, meaning some of their relatives are documented, some are not. He said that's just the way it is. So he said the nation has sent mixed signals on immigration, putting up stop signs while welcoming people into the workforce. Yeah, that's the other thing here, man. All of these giant corporations and mega farms have been hiring undocumented because they don't have to pay them real wages. They don't have to pay Social Security. They don't have to pay minimum. They don't have to pay anything. They just pay them cash under the table. They don't have to pay the taxes on those employees. Oh, it's such another scam. And then it's always oversimplified. Oh, they're illegal. Round them up. Like that's let them pay taxes. It would be impractical to split families rather than offer some pathway to legal standing, Beck said. A better way to reduce immigration, in his mind, would be to help boost the Mexican economy rather than declare war on a neighbor. Yeah, that's what it's all about. If we just hoard all the wealth and all the jobs, of course people are going to come here. And guess what? If America's economy goes in the tank and Mexico's booms, people are going to be moving there. They're going to go wherever the jobs are, wherever they can eat and feed their families. Quote, to think the fabric of Los Angeles is going to change through a legal edict, Beck said, denies our history. If the LAPD were forced into immigration business, Beck said, it's all we do. Instead of focusing on trying to bring down crime rates, we couldn't deport 500,000 people if we wanted to. And if we did, it would be at the expense of public safety. So all the police departments are just going to be rounded out on documents where other crimes are running wild? It's so short-sighted. Everything Trump does is short-sighted. Or it's some calculated thing to either distract people, or there's some hidden money benefit for him and his guys. If undocumented immigrants are convicted of violent felonies, Beck thinks they should serve their time and then be deported. But the crime rate is no greater among immigrants than the rest of the population, he said. This is the Los Angeles Police Department chief. And LAPD is not some like hippie police force. Beck said he doesn't want to poke the new president in the eye, but with 40 years of experience, he thinks he understands his city and how best to police it. And he's not inclined to bow to simple-minded political rhetoric. A 40-year cop who's the chief of police, but he could risk millions in federal funding. Right. Like I said, Trump could punish all these cities if they don't go along with his thing. Quote, I'd risk losing my beliefs, Beck said, if he were to comply. There's not a price for me to do this differently. LAPD Chief Beck, you got my vote. If you live in LA and he's your police chief, write him an email. I'm sure you can Google LAPD Chief Charlie Beck and tell him you support this. Let him know. This is the thing. Like, I know the cops are not perfect, and shooting unarmed people is an awful thing that police departments have done, and violence and stuff, but there are some good cops out there doing some decent stuff, and this is huge. He's better than that dick in Arizona, that Joe whatever guy that they finally voted out after 24 years. So there's always more. The more we dig, the more we peel back, there's so many things. We create a whole community of easy prey victims if they're afraid to come forward for any reason. Stay vigilant. Make Gotham great again. Like it. Subscribe. My name is Graham Elwood. This is the Political Vigilante. This is all vegan. This is a vegan muscle.